Hi everyone, it's Boone again, and today I wanted to talk again about transitioning. I know I haven't talked about that enough on this channel. That's a joke, I have. But in my last video, when I talked about being a year on estrogen and the whole medical process of that, I did cover some of the psychological effects of estrogen, but I didn't really talk about my social transition as a whole. And so I wanted to dedicate this video entirely to just kind of recounting my experiences from when I came out to now and what it felt like and what I went through. So I've said this a couple times already, but I came out kind of officially sort of to my family when I was 13. But I didn't actually use the term transgender really. I just sort of said that I had gender dysphoria and sort of explained to them kind of that I just wished I were a girl. And so my mom, I think, kind of probably put the term transgender and that what I said together in her mind. I feel like anyway. That's the impression that I got, that she kind of knew that was sort of what was up. And then I simultaneously kind of figured that out after coming out to her, and like the following days, through like I knew people who were transgender at the time. I happened to be actually working or like volunteering with someone who was trans, and I was just gaining more exposure to it with the people I knew and through the internet, and I kind of sort of realized like, hey, that could be me. Like, why isn't that me? That's I have all these symptoms of dysphoria, and I've always wanted to be a girl, and I've always felt that I've been more of a girl, and so then I was like, oh, yep, I am. And I connected that, and that was very clear. I mean, I actually kind of knew that I was a girl since I was like 8 or 9, but I repressed it for quite a while in like my preteen years, and definitely didn't have the terminology to put that together. So yeah, once I figured that out, it was quite euphoric. It felt really, really good. And I wanted to start transitioning in some way right away. I remember I had a different YouTube channel, and I wanted to come out on that. And I wanted to like update my profile picture to be some like cartoon girl or something, because I didn't look like what I thought of as a girl at the time. So I was like, I just want something to show that I am a girl, and I want people to know. But I didn't come out right away. I know my mom was, I think, slightly concerned, just as a parent is, for coming out. It's she didn't know the responses I would get, but also as supportive as she was just sort of worried, I think, that if for some reason I realized that wasn't the case and that wasn't a label I wanted to continue to use, that once I came out with it, I'd kind of be stuck with it, which is, sort of true. Like, obviously you can come out and you can say, actually, never mind, that's not true, I'm not trans. Like, gender can totally be fluid, and you can really think you know one thing about your identity and find out that maybe that's not the case, and that's completely fair. But I get what she was saying. Like, I think she was just worried that if I came out and then realized, oh, actually I'm not trans, everyone would still see me with that label, and it'd be hard to like disconnect from it. But a few months passed, and she realized that it was not going to go away, that it still was very much there. Like, it didn't take much convincing. But yeah, I guess I put it off coming out, and then, after that sort of initial spur of momentum when I first came out and realized that I could use that label, I guess I just didn't have the motivation to really go forward with social transition. And when I thought about like wearing female clothing and stylizing myself in that way, it was frightening, because I kind of imagined myself just looking like a man in a dress or whatever, like I couldn't really imagine myself feeling confident and doing that. But nevertheless, over those couple years, like 2015 to 2017, I was mostly just out to a few of my friends. I was pretty open about being trans. Like, I would say at some point in 2016 or early 2017, I was like, yeah, if anyone asks or something, I will tell them I'm trans, like if it comes up for whatever reason. But I didn't come out publicly. Like, sorry, my microphone just kind of almost fell over. Anyway, but I didn't come out explicitly for a few years. So it was great. I'm gonna have to edit this video. That's fun. Didn't want to, but whatever. Sorry, my microphone just fell over. Anyway, I didn't explicitly come out for a few years. I was open to people knowing. I didn't really particularly want to hide it, but I I wasn't quite ready to move forward socially. And I wouldn't say it was probably early 2017. No, actually, it was well. Let's start earlier. It was early 2016 when I knew I wanted to go on hormones. Um, but for most of that year, I couldn't really imagine myself moving forward in my social transition until I started hormones. Like, I didn't want to present femininely to the public until that process had started because I was so afraid of going out and not passing. That just kind of terrified me. I didn't know how people would react. Um, and so I didn't. But then it became clear to me um, that before I started hormones, I was going to have to socially transition. I was going to have to start presenting femininely before starting that, because if I didn't feel comfortable with that, then, I don't know if starting hormones would have been the best thing, because I wasn't sure what it would do to me. It might not have had huge effects. Like, it was important for me to try everything I could beforehand and not place all of the weight on the medical portion. So I would say early 2017, once I got some of the process started of prepping for hormones, it was a long process. But once I kind of got those things started, I started being a little bolder in what I wore. I was mostly pretty androgynous, but there was like a couple times when I would wear like a shirt, like a more feminine shirt, and I would sometimes wear like padded bras underneath. When I did that, I would always wear like a hoodie or something, that so it made it not very clear that I was wearing one. But it was more just like for my sense of gender euphoria. Like, it made me feel nice knowing that it was there. But I was too afraid to like wear wigs or anything, even though I wanted to. I did my makeup because I was like, yeah, I can wear makeup. Boys wear makeup all the time. No one's gonna think that I'm trans, because I was really afraid of people perceiving me as a trans person, which sucks. It sucks that we live in a world where I have to be afraid of that. But I was. And so I started making little small strides. And at this point, like I said, early 2017, probably like springtime, like all my friends knew that I was trans pretty much. I came out on my Instagram and Facebook in, I think, April or May of 2017. So everyone kind of knew. A lot of people still use he, him pronouns for me because I didn't really push for it. Because I didn't perceive myself as passing, I felt uncomfortable with it, which, looking back, I feel like is kind of weird, and I'm having a hard time getting back into that old mindset. But I think back then I just had this idea that one day I would just snap my fingers and everything would be done, and I would look like a girl the way I thought a girl should look in my mind or whatever, and sound the way I wanted to, and have the right pronouns be used for me. But the reality is those things come gradually, and I couldn't just do that. So for a while I was really focused on my voice, and that was part of that. I had tried doing this falsetto technique, and I got what I considered to be a pretty decent girly sounding voice, but I was kind of afraid to use it, and I couldn't do it for that long without wearing myself down. And I realized after doing some research and stuff that it probably wasn't the best long-term idea, just because falsetto can be damaging to your vocal cords, and also if you develop your voice that way, it's hard to develop like a dynamic range. Like, I know a lot of people, a lot of trans women who have done it, and some of them, I'm not saying their voices are bad or anything. I just know that some people struggle to like have different tones and stuff. They can kind of get locked into one monotonous sort of sounding voice, which is okay for some people, but I was worried that I wouldn't really be able to do it well. So this was probably still spring, summer 2017 when I realized, like, I'm actually gonna have to just start working on my voice as it is. No head voice, no falsetto. I'm just gonna have to start doing different tricks and techniques. And I did, and over the course of that year I started feeling more comfortable with it. And, at this time I also realized, hey, I'm going to have to start just trying to wear what I want to wear before going on hormones. I was sick of waiting. I knew it wasn't going to be a snap of the fingers. And so I did that too. And that summer and fall, I was wearing like crop tops and like feminine skinny jeans or whatever, whatever made me feel comfortable, and that I knew I'd want to wear if I were passing. And yeah, I just got to a point by the end of that year where I just wasn't afraid to leave the house wearing anything. Um, and I would do my makeup, and I felt pretty great, honestly. Like, there was this kind of brief window of time before I started like passing and after I came out where I actually just felt happy presenting the way I knew was good for me, even though people mostly still perceive me as a guy, like strangers and stuff. Um, but then once I started asking people to use she, her pronouns, which probably would have been in late summer, no, spring, yeah, late spring, maybe actually, of 2017, uh, I couldn't have people not use them. Like once I felt comfortable with that, as soon as I would hear someone use he or him for me, I would just go like, oh, this sucks. I couldn't go back. And it was the same thing kind of like with hormones and with surgery and a bunch of different things where as soon as I thought of that being the goal, I was like, how could I ever have been okay with this not happening? So I got used to, my family and close friends using she, her pronouns. And then when I would hear strangers or people from my past use he, him, it would really upset me. And luckily, I would say by 2018, by the time that rolled around, really there was no one using he, him for me. Sometimes strangers would, but in like December 2017, according to my Facebook anyway, that was the first time I ever really like passed. So by like spring 2018, I was pretty, it seemed like more often than not, strangers were referring to me with she, her pronouns. So it was really interesting to see all of that happen gradually because in my mind for so long, I really thought it was just going to be like one day, once I feel prepped, I'm just going to have to go out with like a wig on and do my makeup and do my girl voice. And then just like once I'm on estrogen or whatever. But no, all of that started before hormones. And I'm so happy that I decided to go forward and make those steps before I got on estrogen because I don't think I would have been as happy starting estrogen if it weren't for that. Like I needed that kind of mental preparation for what it's like to gradually transition socially. And it was great. Like once I started going out in what I wanted to wear, it was just it made me so happy. And I didn't think I'd get there, but I did. And things really only got up from there. I mean, I won't lie. Once I started to notice that I was passing, whenever I didn't pass, it was like really upsetting. It's quite rare now that I'll ever hear someone use he, him pronouns for me. But if it does happen, it's definitely pretty devastating. I'm not gonna lie. Not that passing is the be all end all of a transition, and I want to make that very clear. It's just, if I'm being honest, I know it's something that I really personally care about. And so that's something I'll probably have to work on. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point. I hope this offered some kind of insight into what it feels like to socially transition if that's something that you haven't done yet but are hoping to, or even if it's something you have done or never will do and you just wanted to hear my story, because why not? I really appreciate you all watching, and I think that's it for this video. So I'll see you next time.